Hello, business students. Today we are going to talk about this chapter, and also we will talk about Charles Schwab and the investment. Some students are already receiving money from me. They have opened their Charles Schwab account, and they are, I sent, $1 first to their account to make sure their account is, properly set up. I sent it through Zelle. And now I'm sending the rest of the money. That means if students have $50, I sent them $1 to make sure everything is okay. If they received it, they let me know, and then I will deposit the rest of the money to their accounts. And they are already posting some of them on the discussion board. I strongly recommend those of you who received Zelle, $1 from me, go ahead and post it. And then if you opened your Charles Schwab account, go ahead and, respond that you have opened the account. And then, we will get started in buying stocks. And I will show you a little bit. I will talk about, how to buy stocks and how to get, started. Now, I want to talk about a concept called perpetuity. Perpetuity, the concept comes from, let's say I give you $100, for example, and I ask you, if possible, for the rest of my life, you pay me $5 for this $100 that I am giving you. Let's say we sign a contract, and rather than for the rest of my life, I come and tell you, I give you this $100, but for the perpetuity, forever, you pay $5. Should you accept that offer? Would you accept it or not? At first moment, you say, that's a very, crazy deal. I give you $100 and you give me for the next 1,000 years, you give me $5. If you are a good businessman, businesswoman, or, you might say, okay, why it is a good deal? Because all you are doing, you are giving me 5% interest. If there is a bank that gives you 7% interest, you will get my $100 and you get 7% interest from the bank. You give 5% to me and you pocket 2% of it. Therefore, the concept is known as perpetuity. That means forever you will pay. But let's not forget, 500 years from now, if you give me $5 or you give my great-great-grandchildren $5, or your trust gives $5, that $5, 500 years from now is nothing, Therefore, the concept of perpetuity means that there is a kind of like a contract, and money is given to some organization, some entity, and that entity is supposed to give certain amount forever. And therefore, how should we calculate? If someone comes to me and tells me that he or she is going to give me $2 for the next 1,000 years, how much money should I give that person to get $2 for the next 1,000 years? Let me assure you, I'm not going to give that person $100. Why I'm not going to give? Because I can put the money in the bank and get 3%, and I don't care. Let's say $2 100 years from now is nothing. They're not even equivalent to a penny. Therefore, it is a better deal for me not to accept that perpetuity. Therefore, how do we calculate perpetuity? Is the way we do, let me bring this this Word document. The way we calculate perpetuity is that if the person tells me that he or she is going to give me $5, and when the interest rates are 5%, I give the $5 and I divide it by 5%, that means $100. It's a good deal for the person who gives me interest and for me, which means I give $100 for the next 1,000 years. That person would give $5, which is a good deal because it's keeping me my $100 and is paying 5%, and I know that, after 10 years, 100 years, the $5, I cannot buy anything from it. Therefore, and when the interest rates are 5%, as I said, when I divide this one by the rate that I am expecting, that becomes $100. This concept is known as perpetuity. And sometimes when we buy stocks, the concept of perpetuity holds as well. There is a simple way of looking at the stocks. That doesn't mean you should use this, to buy a stocks based on this calculation. But let's see how it works in terms of Walmart. In terms of Walmart, imagine that Walmart, you all have heard of dividends. Dividends are like interest that Walmart pays to the shareholders, to the stockholders. Let's say, just as an example, Walmart has 1,000 shareholders. Imagine each one has one share. 1,000 people, each one has bought one share, and these are the total number of shares. Of course, it has millions. I'm just for simplicity. So each person has one share. Now, Walmart makes $5,000 and decides to divide this $5,000 among the 1,000 shareholders. Imagine in 1 year it happens. If you divide 1 to 5,000 by 1,000 people, it will be $5. Therefore, this is the $5 that Walmart pays to each shareholder. That's the profit it has made, and it has shared all the profits that it makes among the shareholders. Therefore, each person gets $5. And these people who have given their money to Walmart, they are hoping that they get a return of 5% on their money, because they could put their money in bank, and bank would have given them 5%. When they gave it to Walmart, they are hoping that the Walmart shares the profit and gives them 5. Imagine that, bank gives them 4%. They say they don't want 4%, they want 5%. Walmart says, okay, based on their calculation from previous years, they say, okay, they give them 5%. Therefore, the owners, the shareholders, they come and say, okay, because Walmart makes $5 per share, gives $5 per share, that's the dividends that the Walmart gives them. They divide it by the percentage that they want to receive, and that when they divide, they get $100. That's the value of stocks of Walmart. Now, it's a very simple calculation, and there are a lot of assumptions in there. Let me assure you, when Walmart makes, let's say, $5,000, it's not crazy to come and distribute this $5,000 among 1,000 shareholders. Why it doesn't do that? Because that if they divides it, is called that it is giving $5 dividend per year. Do you see that? Now, Walmart doesn't give all the profits to the shareholders. What do? They keep, let's say, $2,000 of it, $4,000 of it. Let's say if they make $5,000, they keep $4,000 of it, and then only they give $1,000 to the shareholders. Therefore, if it has 1,000 shareholders, each one gets $1. What does Walmart do with the $4,000? That's called retained earnings, because that's a profit they have made, but they retain it. They don't give it to the shareholders. And that's the right way to do it. Why they do that is because Walmart wants to expand. It wants to open a new store in another town, in another city. It needs cash. To get the cash, it has several ways to get the cash. One is to keep its profit and not to give to the shareholders. That way it can use the money to expand. That's one way the Walmart can, expand. Another way is to go and borrow from the banks or sell bonds. Where they sell bonds, that means they are borrowing. Borrowing from whom? From the public, from the banks. Therefore, they go and tell them, okay, you give us, suppose, $50 million. We give you these, bonds, and you get them. We give you coupons. We give you interest. After 10 years, we give your money back, and, the deal is over. That is not perpetuity. Why it is not perpetuity is because it's not for 1,000 years. It has a time limit that might be 1 year, might be 10 years, might be 30 years. Therefore, that 30 years, long-term bonds, 30 years, 40 years, you have, shorter term, and, that's where the money, they can get money from there. Walmart has another way to raise capital if it wants to expand. And the other way is to sell new shares. That means it has 1,000 shareholders. It comes and says, okay, we have new shares, everybody come and buy from us. When it comes, they issue maybe 50 more shares. People go and pay Walmart maybe $100 or maybe less, $100 or less. They say, come and we will sell it to you for, $89, $99, or, then they get the money, and when they get the money, they can expand. Therefore, Walmart has three ways to, get the money. That is called perpetuity. That is called. Therefore, the stocks of Walmart have features of perpetuity, isn't it? Because Walmart first gives something called dividend to the people. But the problem of calculating the stocks of Walmart to see if it is valued at $100, the problem is that Walmart doesn't give all of its, profits to the shareholders. It has a retained earning. Therefore, that retained earning should be added to the dividends as well. Then, if we divide this by the rate that shareholders, get, that makes sense. But again, there would be another problem using this formula. Therefore, if we want to calculate the value of stocks of Walmart, let's see, this is the dividends that they give, and 5% is what the shareholders are expecting because they could put their money, get 4% from the bank. We can come and divide this number by this number, and then we get to $100. That's the value of the, stocks of Walmart. That's, as I said, this is a simple valuation. Why it is not always, it's not a good way or perfect way of calculating it? There are several reasons. One is that Walmart never gives $5, and it has a retained earning. Part of what they make, they hide, they don't give it to the shareholders. That's one problem. Another problem is that Walmart today might give, let's say, $5, but next year it might give you $5.50, as dividends. A year after might give $6. They might increase. Because they increase, then this number is not constant 5. It has a growth rate. There is a formula for one of the problems that it says that plus G. G means growth rate. Means when from 5 goes to 5.50, that means it has 10% growth, this $5. Therefore, if it becomes 5, if we have growth in dividends of Walmart, then this formula, this simple formula that I can write it like this, price, P means price of stocks of Walmart, equals to dividends, I call it D, divided by rate. This, you have seen this formula. In fact, in perpetuity, this was the case. Didn't we say perpetuity? This is the price I write here, price of Walmart of stocks, price, and then divide dividends, $5, rate, 5%. Then perpetuity is similar. Look at here, perpetuity equals to what they are going to give me, $5, divided by rate that I am expecting, 5%. This is a perfect example because this doesn't fluctuate. This $5 is always set, and I always get $5 back. It doesn't become $6 or $10, and the rate is the same, stays the same. But in terms of calculating the price of Walmart, this dividend is not always the same as what they increase the dividends, they reduce the dividends, but usually they increase because the companies over years overall have more and more sales, and then they increase their dividends. Also, the unusual cases happen. Also, they might cut the dividends. Rate is what the investors are expecting to get from Walmart. Now, there might be other investments that the investors might expect to get a higher return. If Walmart was a risky company, the people were expecting their return to be 20%. You see that? When the risk is low, expectations of people are not high. Therefore, there you got some ideas about what we mean by perpetuity. And if I want to calculate the value of this perpetuity, I would put $100. And if I want to calculate the value of stocks of Walmart under this simple way, the value will be $100. Therefore, one conclusion you get is that there are similarities between perpetuities and stocks. Why? Because stocks, when you buy the stocks, you are the owner of the stocks of a company, and it is in the form of perpetual way of hopefully receiving dividends, and hopefully you're receiving growth in what you are getting. But also, let's not forget, one thing I forgot to mention is that many companies don't give dividends. the companies that are new, usually the companies that grow fast, like technology companies, why they don't give dividends? Just in the case of Walmart, we said might give you. Actually, I can see how much dividends. I can calculate. Go to the internet, Google, and find out how much dividends they give. And Walmart gives. And as I said, technology companies, the ones that are expanding rapidly, they don't give any dividends. Why? Because they keep all their earnings, and that is a smart way because they need money to expand quickly. Why should give the money to the shareholders while they can keep it? Because if they want to, that's called cost of capital. If they give it to the shareholders, they have to go to bank and borrow at higher interest rates. The shareholders say, okay, don't give. You don't need to give us any money. Keep the money and try to expand, because if they expand quickly, maybe the stocks, the shares of the value of the stocks go up and the shareholders will be richer. That's why they are not. There are some companies that give a lot of dividends, and there are some companies that don't give dividends. Which one should we buy? Depends. Many elderlies prefer, let's say, the retired people, like stocks that give more dividends. 3%, 4%, or, what are the companies that give more dividends? Usually drug companies, Johnson & Johnson, let's say, Pfizer, and these are the companies that give good dividends, They don't expect to expand a lot, and that's the way they operate. But companies usually don't give dividends. Let's say Tesla, maybe I don't think Tesla gives any dividend. Walmart gives dividend, and many companies. Therefore, many technology companies, the newer ones particularly, don't give. Apple gives, some dividends. Microsoft, I think, gives dividends. Therefore, these are something that I wanted you to know about the concept of perpetuity, and under one concept, one simple way of calculating Walmart's, value of stocks, that as you understood, that the price of stocks and the calculation is similar to perpetuity, because you are the owner of the Walmart share, you are a shareholder, and permanently you own those stocks, and permanently you are going to receive those dividends, hopefully. And that's why this formula for the calculating the stocks of a Walmart is similar to the formula that we use to calculate perpetuity. And as I said, if the dividends of Walmart have a growth rate, then this formula is not as simple as this one. I will show you how the formula will look like if that is a different way of it. Now, this is one thing I wanted to mention. I went to ChatGPT, and here it is. This is, Walmart dividend. Do you see P0, price of stocks, was 100. Dividend, I put $5 here. K was expected return that, they expected 5%, which is called zero growth stocks. That means dividend, okay, and we will talk about this. I put some. And also, you all remember that in the one of the problems has this formula. Therefore, the one that I showed you is a simple one. It just divided. It said price of stocks of Walmart, $100, equal to D, which is $5, and K. It didn't have the G. G happens when we have a growth rate. That means the dividend and goes up. And therefore, when it is that we have the growth rate, then the dividend next year wouldn't be $5. The dividend will be plus the growth rate, which is 5%. That means that, D0 times 1 is 100%, D0 plus 5% of D0 means $5 plus 5% of $5, it would be, for example, 2.5 cents. Therefore, and also K is the rate we said it is what is that? This was 5%. And growth rate, and then we subtract this, and then we calculate the value of stocks of Walmart based on if we have a growth. In real world, this is the better example than the other one, which was the simple one. And you will get this. This is one of the first problems that you are solving. If dividends are growing over time, the present value is higher compared to stocks that have no growth. This is very important. Means that if the dividends of Walmart grows from $5 next year becomes $5.50, $5.30, of course you have to pay more than $100 because you are getting more, revenue streams than $5. That's what it is trying to say. And again, perpetuity. As we said, the value of a perpetuity, which is similar to the simple dividend payment, is that this C is the payment, that was the $5, divided by the rate that you are expecting, 5%, that came to $100. Therefore, these are some assumptions that, I try to email you this one as well to get some ideas that why, we came to and conclude that perpetuity is $100, price of Walmart is 100. As I said, you cannot use this formula in real world, but it is giving you some ideas. And it is the value of stocks of Walmart this is perpetuity. Infinity means that for the next 100 years. It is giving you, suppose, $5, and then it is taking into account, the growth rate, and it is discounting. That means it is getting the money back. Let's see what it means when you are paying $100 to Walmart, or you buy a perpetuity, and they are giving you $5 every year. What happens? You have given, do you see? D means dividend, or money that they are giving you, $5. And when you are expecting to get 5%, when you give $100, next year they give you $5. When you get $5 next year, that is equivalent to $4.75 of today. Now, if 1 second, please, in that, and then a year after, when that perpetuity or Walmart gives you $5 dividend, the value of this $5 in today's money is $4.54, because it's giving you this $5 is giving you 2 years down the road. That's why if the $5 of 3 years from now worth, much less than $5 of today. How much it is equivalent? It is like 4.33 of today's money, because the interest rates are 5%, which means I can put around 4.33 in the bank. In 2 years, it will be $5. Do you see that? When they give you, suppose, therefore, we will continue and look at this when I will try to, post this one on the discussion board as a Word document. And you see perpetuity formula, you take a look at and see what it is the I did an interesting calculation, and then that calculation is this one. I said that imagine Walmart gives me $5 for the next, 5 years, the next, 100 years. And I asked to calculate the value of the stocks of Walmart. And in fact, I gave, it did a good job. Here it is. I said in year 1, it gives me $5, year 2, $5, all the way to 29 years. And it did the calculation, and I asked it to write it on a column, which did it. Easily, I can click here and transfer it, which I did it. I can download it, and they download it to Excel. And look at how nicely it did the calculation. And I want to show you how sophisticated it is. It did a calculation for 100 years. What it meant is that the $5 that the perpetuity or Walmart is giving me a year from now is valued at $4.70. The second year, $4.50. That is in today's money. And if you see here, it reduces because $5 10 years from now, it is only equivalent to around, $3. Do you see that? I didn't like these huge numbers. I said that round it for me. Look at here how nicely it did. The total value it is. And if I add all these numbers in today's money, 4.7, 4.53 for the next 80 years, the total number comes to, look at here, to how much? Do you see? Very close to $100. That means they say that the value of each stock is the present value of all the dividends. These are the dividends, and if we calculate the present value of each of them, which these are the present value of the $5 6 years down the road, this is the present value which is 350 of $5 7 years ago. Therefore, if we add them all together, it comes to 99.19, almost $100, which is the value of stocks. And then look at here, how nice I did. You know what I said? Round numbers by 2 decimals. You know, when it created this for me, I was not happy to see this huge number. When I said round these numbers for me, it did round. Therefore, after it did, look how nice it is. It came and, it did the calculation. Year one, perpetuity, this is based on 98 years of dividends. And here it is, which means when Walmart or perpetuity gives me $5, 43 years from now, the value of that is, 43 is only, do you see 60 cents? Do you see here 60 or 61 cents? And therefore, however, look at when we go to around 85 years from now, when it gives me $5, that $5 is only valued at how many cents? Only 8 cents. That means it's not 85 years. Who cares about 85 years? That means in that the price of the amount that it is giving me, the present value of this $5, 85 years from now, in today's money, is 8 cents. And look at when we go to, 98 years from now, it is 4 cents. Then I asked to go even to 100, 200, and it did. It did went to 200. And guess what? After it calculated, I clicked here and I downloaded it to Excel to show you. Here is the Excel. And then I downloaded it and look at here. It put this in here. And I came and, got the total of these for 200 years. See how close it comes to, after 140 years, do you see that? When they give me $5, is not even a penny value of $5, that they give me 145. But when I add them together, do you see 99.95? That's the value of the perpetuity, and that's the value of stocks of Walmart when my expectation is to get 5% on my return. I don't have too much expectation from Walmart because it's a good company. That's why I am only asking for hoping 5% return, and I am assuming it gives me $5. Now we go and also I talk about the stocks that I said here is Schwab. Now, one of the stocks that I will tell contributory here. Contributory means those are that one of the, the traditional IRA. If you look at here, how much money you see? $16. With $16, let's say I can buy a stock of a company that I told one of the students to buy SoundHound. SoundHound is a company, is what is that called? Is a technology company, and is similar. You all go to Walmart, to McDonald's, and you have a drive-through that cashier says that, how may I help you? And you say, I need a Big Mac, May I say, okay, drive around. And I think, and this company is trying to use, automated system. And the value of each stocks that it has, if you look at here, the value is $8.91. I have $16 here. I can buy 1 share. What do I do here? I say buy. How many shares? 1. I buy usually in market. And as you see, I am buying 1 and I click here, review, and then I click place order, and then it will buy, and then therefore this is the way that the students are going to trade. We will talk more.